It's official. Style Guys is trending for the holiday season. Located 1252 Burnham Ave in Calumet City. Being black owned and operated with new items weekly, in store, and even online. And with over 50,000 followers online, you can't miss out. Sales going on till 2022. Like jogging suits, hoodies, t-shirts, Jordan Craig, smoke rise, crisp, sweaters, and so much more. So beat the lines and order online from Style Guys, 1252 Burnham Ave in Calumet City. Contact them today at 708-801-9481. Again, 708-801-9481. Or check them out from Tuesday to Saturday from noon to 7 p.m. or Sundays from noon to 5 p.m. Style Guys, 1252 Burnham Ave in Calumet City. Life, fashion, style. Follow some of the newest styles by Style Guys in Calumet City. Lock in The Style Guys on IG or look them up, thestyleguys.com. Gone wild!
No escaping this. 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 No escaping this.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escape.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escape.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escape.
No one's ready to deal with us.
You are listening to the End of the Bench podcast on Built for This Network, hosted by my man HRap.
Hello, everybody. It's HRap, Built for This Network, the End of the Bench podcast. You are tuned in. Thank you. As usual, this is a podcast. What does that mean? It's on-demand and entertainment. You can find it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com. All you have to do, or wherever you download your favorite podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google, Deezer, or wherever you do it. All you have to do is type in Built for This Network, subscribe, rate, comment, and you will be doing me a gigantic favor. If you are watching live, LIVE on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button, or Facebook thumbs up button, or on my personal website, thumbs up button, the End of the Bench. What I want you to do is hit the thumbs up, share, tell a friend to tune in. There's important information being disseminated this evening. As usual, what I do is acknowledge my ancestors. Why do I acknowledge my ancestors? Without them, there is no me. Everything that is good about me came directly through them. So if you are connected to the if you're connected to the Pollard, Whitmore, Patterson, Turner, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Shaw, Walker, Thompson, Chris, Lansdowne, Liggins, Duncan, Trotter, Brandon, Brandy, Lott, Wilson, Johnson, Fitch, and Williams clan, thank you for tuning in. You are in the building. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look, let's cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. I need you to have your ears on and be activated. Because, as I keep saying, man, it's a war going on outside. We are under attack. Our community is under attack. People are looking at us as if we are doing something wrong by standing up. And I'm be honest with you, it's going to sound hyperbolic, right? But if we don't stand up and do something immediately, we're going to be in a situation that our ancestors was in 160-something odd years ago. I'm not kidding. I mean, it sounds crazy, man. How are we going to be back? Look, as it stands today, you have just about the same rights that your grandparents. If you're of a certain age, if you are Generation X or a baby boomer, you and your grandparents had the same amount of rights. They've all but destroyed the Civil Rights Bill that was worked so diligently by Student Nonviolence Committee, Student Nonviolent Committee, the Southern Baptist Committee, the Black Panther Party, Self-Defense, the Great Nation of Islam, and all those people, even though the Nation of Islam not really into voting, them standing up and doing that thing scared the hell out of white America. So people had to get into a situation and give up things if they want. Look, when you are in a government or you're the ruling class, you understand that if we continue to oppress a certain group of people or the people who are underserved, what will happen is those people will rise up and destroy us. You've seen it in countless times in Europe. So look, it is what it is. Now, the name of the show tonight is, as I stated, the ballot or the bullet. Now, if you are saying, hey, Malcolm X used that, that's exactly where I got that from. The ballot or the bullet. Go and watch that on YouTube. Malcolm X, the ballot or the bullet. It is a invigorating speech. But I'm coming from a different direction as our great ancestor Malcolm X. Malcolm X meant, look, go to the voting polls or get your gun and be ready to fight. My perspective is go to the polls or be used to our children being gunned down in the street. I'm gonna say it again. Go to the polls or get used to our children getting gunned down in the street. The Breonna Taylors, the George Floyds, the young brother who just got assassinated with a bullet to the back of his head last week. I mean, Philando Castile. I can go on and on and on and on. The Elaine massacre. Most of y'all don't even know about that. That's in Mississippi. A lot of people don't know about that because it isn't publicized. I got Tiki and Charlotte in the building. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. It's always good to see people who want to hear the truth. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because the people who are in charge of everything, they have no issue lying to you, selling you a bill of goods, propping up people in front of you to say, hey, this is what we need to do. There are a lot of people that stand around and say, hey, man, voting don't count. I'm not here to change any minds. Nope. I'm not doing that anymore. Either you understand where I'm coming from or you don't. I ain't trying to change your mind anymore. Because to change your mind, that means your mind is still your mind and you really don't want to hear what I have to say and you just agree. And then when it's time to make a move, then you won't make the move. So either you are down or you're not. Either you understand where I'm coming from or you don't. And that's just the bottom line. Point blank, period, end of sentence. The ballot of the bullet is because what we're going to have to do is get re-educated in civics. What we do is live in an existence that's out of slavery. The mentality is born out of slavery. It's born out of bondage. We don't rise up and speak against white nationalists because ain't nobody going to do anything. It's just the way it is. And that's the way our ancestors thought. That's why some of them escaped and got away from it because they said, hey, it's got to be something better. Some of our ancestors, even before they got over here, they took over those ships and just walked off the side of the boat because I would rather be dead than deal with what's coming. They didn't even know what was coming, but they knew it wasn't going to be good because they were in chains. We're in chains right now. We're in mental chains. Look, civics teaches you, you go to the polls. I got my man Big Illinois in the building. Good to see you, my brother. Civics teaches you, you go to the polls, and when you leave the polls, what happens is you go into action. But as a community, what we do is we go to the polls and then we sit back and say, now let me see what you're going to do. Nothing. What has Joe Biden done? What have you asked him to do? What has Kamala Harris done? What have you asked her to do? What has J.B. Pritzker done, the governor of Illinois? What have we asked him to do? Nothing. See, people don't understand that day one, just say you get elected on a Tuesday. You probably got to Thursday. At that point, you have an office set up and everything. You probably already have an office set up. That's when we need to be putting in place that 5 calls out and being able to call you and say, hey, you promised to do X, Y, and Z. Are you going to do those things? And if you're not going to do those things, we're gonna start working today to get you out of here. The great ancestor, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. worked for more than a decade before he got the Civil Rights Bill passed, Civil Rights Act passed. More than a decade. It was people like A. Philip Randolph, Ralph Bunch, and those people working before Dr. King So you're talking about 40, you're talking about basically 100 years of working. W.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass. They were working to get where Dr. King was 100 years later. So if you think this thing is going to get fixed or come to some semblance of normalcy within the next 2 or 3 years or the term of the president, you are I'm sadly mistaken. You're wrong. Please don't play yourself anymore. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, and you and your children will be going directly into staying in mental slavery. Period. See, what we need to do as a group is talk to 5 of your friends and find out what's wrong with your community. And all 5 of you probably have a significant other who lives with you or somebody in your house, and all of y'all, that's 10 people calling the alderman. Then 10 people calling the state representative. Then 10 people calling the mayor. And then 10 people calling city council. Then 10 people calling the governor. That's how this thing works. You complaining to Big Illinois, Teresa, and Charlotte, you're wasting your time. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. Look, we face greater task at hand 1,000,001 times. We have. I'm going to show you this person. Before we continue, I'm going to show you this person in history and show you why working together and keeping yourself focused will put you in a better situation. I'll be back shortly. This is the End of the Bench on Built for This Network. I am HRap. Thank you.
Charles Hamilton Houston, the man who killed Jim Crow. Born on September 3, 1895 in Washington, D.C., to lawyer William LaPree Houston and seamstress Mary Hamilton Houston, Charles grew up in middle-class suburbia. Following his time at Dunbar High School, Charles attended Amherst College in 1911. After graduation, he taught English at Howard University before becoming a first lieutenant in the United States Army during World War I. The injustices against African Americans he witnessed and endured during his time in the Army fueled his desire to create change for the African American community. When he returned home from the war in 1919, Charles attended Harvard Law School. It was there that Charles earned a bachelor's and later doctorate degree in law, and where he first began his journey as an agent of social change. Charles became the first African American to serve as editor of the Harvard Law Review, and in 1930 was appointed as the first special counsel for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. During his time as special counsel for the NAACP, Charles played a role in nearly every civil rights case before the Supreme Court between 1930 and his death in 1950. When he wasn't serving as vice dean of the Howard University School of Law, meeting with lawmakers, or fighting cases before the Supreme Court, Charles spent much of his time traveling across the country to research and document the unfair treatment of African Americans. Much of this research was used in Charles Hamilton Houston's groundbreaking decision to do the unthinkable: desegregate schools across the United States. Following a landmark victory in 1948 that prevented the banning of African Americans from living in certain areas, Charles decided it was time. A long believer that segregation was the root of Jim Crow, Charles was finally ready to eliminate the practice of segregation in schools. Together with NAACP leaders and lawyers he had trained in Howard Law School, Charles began the revolutionary journey to begin integrating America's schools. The expedition commenced with attacking the practice of segregation in law schools. Charles helped force all 50 states to either admit African Americans into their universities or to build costly parallel schools with equal resources and programs for African Americans. States chose the latter, and Charles was responsible for allowing thousands of African Americans to pursue a higher education in law. A well-known workaholic, Charles did not stop to celebrate his victory. Instead, he dove headfirst into laying the groundwork for an even bigger case: Brown versus Board of Education. Taking his mentee Thurgood Marshall under his wing, together the men worked feverishly to solidify their arguments. By this time, the topic of desegregation had gained much popularity and was being debated all over the United States. Hamilton Houston had both loyal supporters and enraged opponents. His plan to highlight the inequality of the doctrine separate but equal from Plessy versus Ferguson as it pertained to public education was to be the principal argument of the Brown versus Board of Ed case. As preparations for the case moved forward, Charles's health continued to deteriorate. He suffered from a severe heart condition and several other medical problems that his fast-paced lifestyle contributed to. Doctors began urging and even demanding that he rest and take a break from his work. Charles was known to go to bed around 11 p.m. and wake up at 4 a.m. to continue working. His intense schedule was beginning to get the best of him, and doctors blatantly informed him that if he continued, he would die. "I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees," was a favorite saying of Houston. He did just that on April 22, 1950. Just 4 years before a verdict he had worked 20 years to achieve, Charles Hamilton Houston passed away from a heart attack. Although his work has gone unnoticed by many, Charles Hamilton Houston's legacy lives on in the minds and hearts of students at Howard University and Harvard Law School. A social engineer and agent of change that without hesitation dedicated his life's work to positively impacting the lives of countless Americans is someone we should all be grateful for. A Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall once said, "We owe it all to Charlie."
Thank you, Charlie. Charles Hamilton Houston is a very important person, and he is why I'm bringing this up today. He's one of the reasons. Thank you, Ms. Sutherland. Thank you for tuning in. It's great to see you there. And as somebody already did, hit that like button, hit that share button, tell a friend to tune in. Please, thank you, and allow me to continue. As I stated, man, look, we can sit around and complain to each other all day, and it does nothing. You complain to your wife, complain to your husband, you complain to your sister, brothers, nieces, nephews, cousins, neighbors, and everybody around you. They cannot do anything. As I told you, this one is called the ballot or the bullet. Malcolm X made it famous, the ballot or the bullet. He was talking about fighting. We're going to fight in a different way. We are going to understand that the day that the person gets elected is when you go into action. Because then if you elect HRap B as the mayor of your town, you give, like I said, the general elections are on Tuesdays. You give me the Thursday to settle into my office, and then that's when you start calling and saying, you said this, you said this, you said this. And don't take, hey, I only been in office a couple of days. Well, you walked around this town, you walked around this state, you drove around this country, you flew around this country to tell me that you were going to do this. I need to see what you're going to do. Everybody needs to have a list of at a minimum of 10 things that they want done. Every single solitary person. Use the 5 Calls app. Download the 5 Calls app. Download the politicking app. The reason you do that, the 5 Calls app puts you in contact with people who are in power directly. It is designed to put you in the people who you put in those seats. Civil servants. Make them serve you. The politicking app is so when HRap show up, hey, I used to be the county clerk, or I used to be this, or I used to be that, and now I want to be this. See how I voted to see if I have your best interest in heart. Why am I talking about this? Because this fellow by the name of Dr. Reverend Raphael Warnock is behind in the polls by a guy who has been exposed as a known liar. But because he could run a football for the Dallas Cowboys, run a football for the New Jersey Generals, run a football for the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants, people love him. And he was in the state of Georgia running a football and winning the Heisman, and we love him. But he is and always will be exactly what the dominant society wants from us. As long as you can dance, run, jump, shuck, and jive, we'll like you. But if you stand up like our great ancestor Dr. King, or our great ancestor Malcolm X, or our great ancestor Philip Randolph, or any of those, well, we know, oh no. Why are your schools underfunded? Because you're not complaining about it. Why are your schools underfunded? Because we allowing people like Herschel Walker to be ahead in the polls. Herschel Walker should be so far behind Dr. Reverend Raphael Warnock that they should say, forget it. But he's not. And that's a sad commentary, brothers and sisters. Or we need to get some political strategy going and have somebody primary him. See, because we get so enamored with these D's and these R's. Those things mean nothing to our community. Nothing. Nobody is on our side. So why do we care if you have a D behind your name or R behind your name? But what you are going to do is do the bidding for us, the U.S. That's it. We, us, me and you. That's it. We don't care what your political affiliation is, because when you get engaged, it doesn't make a difference. But as long as we stay unengaged, as long as we stay in a frame of mind of they're not going to do nothing for us, guess what? You just saw a man, Charles Hamilton Houston, who was born, his parents are more than likely in bondage. And he became one of the most powerful attorneys in the history of the world, sitting next to a guy who was on the Supreme Court. And that guy said, the reason probably I'm on the Supreme Court is because my friend. We can't make it because our schools are underfunded. Imagine how underfunded Dr. King's schools were. Just imagine that. How underfunded was Medgar Evers' school? And they became Dr. King and Medgar Evers. They didn't have Google. They didn't have internet access. They didn't have any of that. They had a library. See, back in the day, man, I come from a time in which my grandparents, my parents, we had Life magazine, Time magazine on the cocktail table. You had books and periodicals all over the house. There was history being taught at all times, every day, all day. We don't have that anymore. I had an aunt who had a whole bunch of books in the center of her front room. You go to there and you pick up a book. My mother, for what is it, spring break, she used to call it cleanup week. She would make me and my sisters write book reports on cleanup week. You had to do homework assigned to you from my mother for Christmas break. They ain't have to send no work home from school because my mother made sure. I got on my sister's nerves about reading so much. My sisters, my older sisters, they're 5 or 6 years older than me. They taught me how to read before I even got to school. And that's why if it's underserved, not a problem, because guess what? The library is always going to be free. The internet is even more free than the library because you don't even have to leave and go outside to get it. Now, you may have to check and double check the information that you're going to get, but that's not a problem either, because what else are you doing? Guess what? You could DVR the episode of Love and Hip Hop and you don't have to watch it. But when you have people of the likes of Herschel Walker, who lied about his academic record, lied about everything about him. He lied about a whole ton of things. I graduated top of my class. You don't even have a degree, sir. You don't even have a degree from the University of Georgia. So how did you graduate at the top of your class? Liar. So if you're a lie about something that simple, what won't you lie about? You're probably lying about everything that you're telling people to get them to vote for you. But we're not paying attention because we are enamored with celebrity. We are enamored with celebrity, and this is going to be our downfall, brothers and sisters. We can get mad at each other. What we need to do is end this civil war in our community. The light-skinned, the first is those people down south and those people out west. We're in the northeastern portion of the country. We're in the Midwest. We're so cosmopolitan. You're not part of that. So guess what? Most of your uncles, aunts, nieces, nephews, cousins, they're down south because the greatest population of Black people are still below the Mason-Dixon line. And if you live in LA and you're so cosmopolitan, you came from east. So that's a myth that we've busted right there, right? Then we got this, the stupidest portion of the Civil War is this light-skinned, dark-skinned thing. I'm light-skinned, I'm better than you, or they're better than you. No. It's not. We got to end that. So now we got that out the way. Oh, the educated and non-educated. Guess what? Most of the people in the United States of America who are successful don't have a degree. Steve Jobs dropped out of school. Bill Gates dropped out of school. Elon Musk. You like Elon Musk because he got the Tesla. But guess what? He was born in apartheid, South Africa. He wants to loosen the provisions on Twitter to the point where the stockholders who can make a boatload of money with him being in, they like, no, we don't need that. Anytime a capitalist turns down money, you have to wonder who they're dealing with. But they prop them up. They use fancy words like, these not fancy words, but they use cute words, cuddly words like Jim Crow segregation. That is the United States version of apartheid. Apartheid is a wicked situation, but Jim Crow sounds, sound so wicked. It doesn't sound like we're supporting hate. We're supporting the destruction. We're supporting the dehumanizing of Black people, coast to coast, border to border. It don't sound like it's just Jim Crow. Yeah, man. They was doing but they were lynching us. They were burning down our schoolhouses. They were raping our women. They were castrating our brothers. That's what Jim Crow did. They were creating laws. Guess what? There's still language in some contracts when you buy a house to say you legally don't have supposed to be there. So then when they enforce eminent domain, you have to go because you got a contract. We got a contract say you ain't supposed to be here no way. There's certain banks. Oh man, why they live over there? Because guess what? There were laws set up in apartheid, America style, saying that you can't live. You can buy a house over there, but we're not going to insure it. And if you don't insure the house, somebody can come burn it down and you get nothing. You heard 2 weeks ago, the great queen, Miss Thelma Fish, said that's exactly what happened to her in Chicago. Her parents' home was burned to the ground and they got nothing. They got cheated. These are the things. This is why people in the dominant society don't want you to know about critical race theory, because if you learn about critical race theory, you learn how excellent our elders were. You find out that when we came out of bondage in 1863, after that war in 1865 was over, we led the United States in reading because we part of the Reconstruction was we wanted to learn how to read. And we were killing it at academics. We were killing it at reading, writing. Look, if you watched the show last night, you saw Frederick Douglass taught himself how to read. See, so all this underserved, and you see, these words, these are trigger words. They disarm you. They stop you from forging forward. They put you in a mind state of can't do when you don't realize you come from a lineage that can do. So join the truth. Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey. I mean, we can go on and on and on about our people who did the things that they said they couldn't do. So why do we grunt around in the mud saying what we can't do? See, they don't want us to do. They ain't want you to have a house, but your grandparents say I want. How did your grandparents own a house, but you can't? See, it's different now. No, it's not. You're right. You're right, because you've never seen strange fruit. If you don't know what strange fruit is, look up our great ancestor, Billie Holiday, and listen to that song. She ain't talking about apples and pears. She's talking about oranges and bananas. She's talking about Thelmas, Deborahs. That's what she's talking about. So she's talking about Marks, Tyrone's. That's the strange fruit that sister was talking about. So please don't do that. I got my man Justin Caraway in the building. Thank you, Justin. It's always good to see you. It's always good to see you, my brother. But these are the things that we have to be aware of. But we're not aware of that. Like I said last week, we spent a whole week talking about one brother assaulting another brother. Meanwhile, Sister Kamala Harris is on TV saying, hey, the SBC loans, Small Business Association loans, SBA.gov. Did you hear what I said? SBA.gov. That's a real thing. Oh, well, we was going to end those loans and we're going to end those loans in August. I'm going to extend them to the 31st of December of next year. Oh, remember felons couldn't apply for it? We're going to do that. But meanwhile, we talking about Chris Rock and Will Smith. Why? That was a red herring, people. See, we complain, man, see, they get the other people more breaks. But we paying attention to nonsense. Look, man, brothers and sisters, I have watched more baseball, basketball, football than anybody that's ever going to watch this show. I can tell you MVPs of games that I ain't even seen. Games that took place before I was born. Why do I know Will Chamberlain had 5 MVPs? How does that help me? How does that free us, man? It doesn't. Big Chef in the building, thank you. It's always good to see you. Thank you for the support. Why do I know those things? Because it's not going to free us. So I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. That's the last thing I'm saying, because I'm going to enjoy myself. Hey, man, I tell people, man, who listen to this show, I got my man Walter Lindsay in the building. Always good to see you, cool cat. That's my main man. Been friends since 1984. Yes, indeed. But I'm not saying not have a good time, man, because if Walt, he just said hello. He can tell you I'm one of the silliest guys you'll ever meet in the world. But I just need us to be able to laugh and comfort without our children getting killed. If you or me and Walt age, you know that you have grandchildren coming. So you want your granddaughter to be the next Breonna Taylor, you want your grandson to be the next George Floyd. Damn it, that's why you got to get your ass up and vote. Excuse me, Southern, please forgive. Got to respect the elders, man, at all times. Chanel Davis, Tanya Reynolds in the building. Thank y'all. Good to see y'all. This is why, look, all right, that ain't going to work. What are you basing that on? Because you know what you're doing? What you're doing is you're hearing your pessimistic homeboy, homegirl, or somebody who you know, they have a pessimistic point of view on what's going on, and you letting them suck you right into that glass half full, half empty mentality. We haven't set forth an effort at the worst since 1980 as a collective community to get anything politically done. Because you know what we did? Oh, man, Jesse Jackson ain't nothing. Al Sharpton ain't nothing. They ain't done nothing. Guess what? You are just like that person that sat around and said, if I was a slave, you would be doing exactly what you're doing now. Nothing but woofing. Or if it was me, well, why ain't you doing it now? You have an opportunity to. So stop telling us what's not going to work and galvanize your inner circle, create a group of people and say, this is what we don't like. And when you get what you don't like, then write it on a sheet of paper. And then look around the room and say, find me somebody like me who love to talk. I will talk a concrete path down to a dirt road. Anybody who knows me, they know that. You have to throw something at me to stop me from talking. That's why I do a podcast. You get the blabbermouth like HRap to call, run for office, run for councilman, run for committeeman, do something. Or do like I said, download the 5 call apps. Hello, my name is Brian Williams. I am a resident in 60612, Chicago, Illinois. Such and such is my congressman. This is what is a pothole I've been driving around for 6 months. If you don't want and tell them problem, then you hang up. And then you hand the phone to your significant other. Baby, call that and say that. I am Deborah Tate. I live at 60612. I am tired of driving around this pothole. That's how you get things done in this country. But we don't do that because we're stuck in this enslaved mentality of, hey, man, they ain't going to do nothing, or you really kind of scared because, hey, man, whether we want to admit it or not, man, a lot of our people, man, when white folks walk in the building, we get quiet. And I'm not, hey, look, I've done it. I ain't going to lie to you. I mean, I'm not better than anybody. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me. I'm trying to help you and me. Because one day, my son, BJ, who I do the show with, my awesome daughter, Bria, BJ awesome too, they going to have some kids. And I ain't trying to see my grandkids get shot. I don't want to see your Guess what? It's the people that watch this show that they waiting on me to make a mistake because they got beef with me. Hey, guess what? I don't like you either, and I don't want your grandchildren to get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. I might want to sock you in the eye. Not bad about, but I don't want you to die. But I'm being silly, but it's the truth, man. I don't want anybody to be hurt, man. And look, we've been through enough hurt. Me and you can sock each other in the eye. We put a steak over our eye, have a beer later on, and you just look at each other crazy. Like at my man Steve's house, it'd be people looking at me crazy. I'm looking at them crazy. But we don't get up and fight because we hanging out at Steve's house. And then when the night's over, it's over. He goes left, she goes left, I go right, and we split to see the next game. Period. We don't have to like each other. But you guess what? You don't know my children. I don't know your children. Both of us don't want each one of our children to get hurt. The only way we can stop this is step up, go your behind to the polls, 5 calls out, complain, and when they get elected, that day, that is the beginning of the complaints. You need to be feeling like, oh, I was just talking about the potholes till you got that job. Oh, you got the job? Oh, so you're securely in office. Check it out. This is what we need you to do. Otherwise, we're going to get even more people to the polls to get rid of your behind. See, I keep telling y'all, it ain't about the D's and the R's. It ain't about, look, we're not voting for people, we're voting for policies. No more people, we're voting for policies. Because when you vote for policy, you get a chance to get some results. But if you vote for people, people lie. Policies don't. The paper ain't going to lie to you. Because guess what? Is it more funding in my schools? Oh, no. Well, you know what? If you don't get you got Senator such and such, you got 4 more years. You got elected in 20. You got 4 years to get something done. Oh, well, you don't even need to campaign around these parts because we're not voting for you. We don't need no more turkeys at Christmas. We don't need no more damn trees. We don't need no more damn hams. We don't need none of that. We need after-school programs. We need vocational programs. And we need information so we can get that $1.5 billion in the SBCA so we can get some of those loans so we can open some corner stores, so we can open some laundromats. Because guess what, y'all? That money's out there. That money out there. That money's out there, and we not claiming it. So we can't be all, man, see, they don't want us to know. You got Google. You Google everything else. Google that. You Google everything else in the world. Google that. Find out where the money, find out where the money resides. Like old boy on that who did his own little car commercial, where the money resides. We all laughed at it. It was funny. But guess what? We need to start doing that, man. Otherwise, hey, man, somebody in your family somebody in my family could be next on to get shot by the police. Look, you don't understand what I'm saying? Cool, I get it. I might sound hyperbolic to you. Cool, I get it. But I'm just being honest with you, man. You don't know who next. Hey, if I don't show up next week, guess what? That means they got me potentially. Because I'm on here every week because I love my people. I don't hate nobody. I'm not anti-nothing. I'm pro-us. And if you think I'm anti, that's cool. I'm not trying to explain it to you. See, that's the thing. That's the difference in me and a lot of other people. If you take this the wrong way, you can ask a question. But if you make a statement, oh, well, see, okay, cool. I'm not going to confirm or deny anything because I speak in simple terms. I'm not trying to use multi-syllable words and speak from legal terms and have legalese. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to help my people. I'm tired of us struggling. You don't have to like me to agree with me. You don't have to like your neighbor to agree with him. Because guess what? Your neighbor has children or grandchildren or cut. Everybody got family. We are dying by the truckload. We are dying by the truckload. And don't you tell me about no damn black on black crime. Because 91% of black people are hurt by black people. But if you was listening earlier in the show, you understood red line and forced us in certain places. You are only allowed to live in these pockets. So of course, do you really believe if you live on the south side of your city and I live on the north side of your city, if I'm black, are you going to get in an argument with me? Hell no. Because we're too far apart. But hey, your neighbor let his dog take a dump on your yard and don't pick up that mess. You're going to get into a situation with me. You're going to get an argument. I'm not going to say it's turning into violence, but that's why. Look, you living in a disenfranchised community, underserved community. Your children don't have anything to do. They're pumping this white kryptonite into our community. They get pumping that brown kryptonite in our community. They pumping that crystal meth in other communities. So what do you think going to happen after a while? People will turn on each other. But if we start working together, get these after school programs funded like we used to do, start talking to our children about college like our parents used to do. And guess what? You may not be an academic. You might be good with your hands. Well, you need to get a vocation. You might be an artist. So you need to have these schools. You need to have these schools funded with music, art, tech. Because guess what? You can go to YouTube. You can go to YouTube and get information on technology. I know people who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars that learn this off YouTube, and bam. So again, let some of your bad habits, quote unquote bad habits, because I got the same bad habits again. If I ever say anything, I'm including myself. Let some of that leisure time that you do, I'm gonna look at 50 YouTube videos. I'm gonna laugh, big job to the max, all that. I'm with you. I'm doing it. I'm speaking from a point of view that I have. But you can learn 1,000,005 things, man. Stop listening to the hype, brothers and sisters. We can't win with people listening to that foolishness. I got my man DJ Mad Knox show killer in the building. We can't win like that. We cannot win like that. We have been winning for centuries. We have been met with 1,000 obstacles and we've overcome them all. The only reason we not winning right now is because you make up stuff. Black on black crime. See, look how we do each other. You tell somebody, man, the government is screwing us over. But look at how we do each other. Why are we doing it? Because our children don't have anything to do. We were tricked into a corner store ain't good enough. You got to get you a good job downtown. No, a corner store is actually making way more than you would make downtown. Think about how many children are buying bags of potato chips. How many children are buying those sodas? How many children are buying candy? How many packages of cigarettes are being sold? And oh my God. So at the end of the day, you've made $1,500 that day. How many lottery tickets are being sold? You've made $1,500. Hold on. I can make $1,500 a day, 7 days a week, versus going downtown and getting a job. Oh, I could get insurance to cover me. Oh, guess what? And then I could teach my son, hey, man, you need to learn how to run this store. Or my daughter, one of your children is not going to be an academic, potentially. They may not want to go to college at that point because they may not know. Or they just might not be them. I hated school coming out of high school. I hate it, but I got a college degree, so it don't mean anything. Doesn't even hit that. You talking about the king of the C students right here. But there's everybody, look, everybody don't want to go get that good paying, that good government job. You know, that's how we talked when I was a kid. Good government job. Everybody don't want that good government job because that good government job ain't where it is. But sometimes it is. My mom is a perfect example. But watch this. That good government job had by my mama worked from 1970 when I was born for the state of Illinois until 2010 and died 4 months before her retirement. Good government job. It ain't going to keep you here. And that's why I say I don't have a problem with people laughing and joking and enjoying entertainment in all forms. Hey, housewives, house husbands, cats, dogs. I don't care what you're watching, but I do want you to pay attention to the nonsense that's going on and understand you come from greatness. And when you realize you come from greatness, you'll strive for better. If you strive for better, you will conquer the system. Watch what I'm about to show you to see so you can see if they can do it 100 years or if you can do it today. This is Built for This Network. This is HRap B. This is the Black Power series. And today it's the ballot or the bullet. I am telling you, you are either going to go to the ballot or you run the risk of our children getting Breonna Taylor or George Floyd. It sounds hyperbolic, but that's the truth. Pay attention. You'll learn something. I'll be back.
Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel.
The Harlem Hellfighters, the most celebrated African-American regiment in World War I. They confronted racism even as they trained for war. They helped bring jazz to France, then battled Germany longer than almost any other American doughboys.
Their nickname's origin is unclear. It was possibly given to them by enemy soldiers, the American press, or both. Like their predecessors in the Civil War and successors in the wars that followed, these African-American troops fought a war for a country that refused them basic rights, and their bravery stood as a rebuke to racism, a moral claim to first-class citizenship. They were mostly New Yorkers, the first black troops in their state's National Guard. After years of lobbying by civic leaders from Harlem, Manhattan's celebrated black neighborhood, Governor Charles Whiteman finally formed the all-black unit, first known as the 15th New York National Guard Regiment. in 1916 as the U.S. prepared for possible entry into World War I. The majority of enlistees actually came from Harlem, which was home to 50,000 of Manhattan's 60,000 African Americans in the 1910s. Others came from Brooklyn, towns up the Hudson River, and New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. Some were teens, some in their mid-40s. Some were porters, doormen, or elevator operators. Some teachers, night watchmen, or mailmen. Their motives included adventure, patriotism, and pride. Quote, "To be somebody, you had to belong to the 15th Infantry," end quote, wrote enlistee Arthur P. Davis of Harlem. Even before combat, the regiment faced unjust challenges from fellow Americans. In October 1917, 6 months after the official U.S. entrance into the war, they trained for combat in Jim Crow-ruled Spartanburg, South Carolina. There, the regiment pledged to follow an unusual military discipline. Haywood asked them to respond to racist insults and threats with fortitude and without retaliation, but to report any incidents to military authorities. Quote, "There had been all kind of insults hurled at us who were on duty in town," end quote, wrote musician Noble Sissel in his memoir. Quote, "Our boys had some pretty bitter pills to swallow," end quote. Sissel himself was kicked and called a racial slur by a hotel's proprietor when he stopped in to get some newspapers. 100 black and white soldiers gathered at the hotel's entrance, quote, "bent on seeking restitution," end quote, Sissel wrote. But Lieutenant Europe's calm intervention diffused the confrontation until military police arrived. Quote, "He really showed his mettle and his ability to handle men in that very unpleasant episode," end quote, Sissel recalled. Renamed the U.S. 369th Infantry Regiment, they were assigned to the U.S. Army Services of Supply, unloading ships and other unflattering duties. But General John Pershing, commander of the American Expeditionary Forces in Europe, soon offered the 369th to the French Army to solve a political problem. The French and British were demanding American reinforcements for their badly depleted divisions. Pershing, under orders from the president, had insisted on forming an independent American force in France to preserve troop morale and accountability for American casualties and to strengthen the president's clout in eventual peace talks.
General John Pershing was not in favor of having black soldiers in combat. However, he eventually recognized their value and he made an exception for the black soldiers of the 369th Regiment, reassigning them to the French on March 10th. You must understand that during those times, the attitudes about black soldiers was not very favorable. Yes, folks, a little more than 100 years ago, the Harlem Hellfighters bravely led the U.S. into World War I. Their courage made the headlines across the country and across the world, hailing the African American regiment as heroes even as they faced discrimination at home. Now that's the shame of it. You go overseas, you fight, you die, and you win wars, but you come back home and you're discriminated against. Two of the prominent members of the 369th Infantry were Private Henry Johnson and Neiman Roberts. Johnson and Roberts became the first Americans to receive the French Quadrilleur for their heroics during World War I. These awards were the first of many honors awarded to the 369th Infantry Regiment, better known as the Harlem Hellfighters. After 3 weeks training by French troops, the 369th entered the combat trenches on April 15, 1918, more than a month before the American Expeditionary Forces' first major battle. For 3 months, as the German-sprung offense raged dozens of miles to the northwest, the 369th manned the front line and fought occasional skirmishes, including Johnson and Roberts' battle against the German Raging Party, which was epic and made headlines around the world. American reporters' accounts of their heroics reached home within days. The headlines read, 2 New York Negro soldiers foil German assault, declared the New York World's lead headline on May 20th, 1918. You have to understand that that was a big deal back then. There was no television, no ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. So to be in the headlines, you were a bona fide hero. And that was pretty much the extent of the coverage that people got back then. And ironically, the same general who was reluctant to send the Hellfighters to fight praised them in the press. The headlines read, "General Pershing praises brave Negroes," in a New York Sun headline the next day. See, such stories made Johnson and Roberts two of the best-known American soldiers in World War I. And this was at a time when U.S. troops either hadn't yet arrived in France or were training. The Harlem Hellfighters made news around the world. As part of the Meuse-Argonne offense, in which more than 1 million American and French troops attacked the German lines, the 369th suffered some of the worst casualties suffered by an American regiment in war. With 144 killed and almost 1,000 wounded, the Hellfighters' story of wartime valor brought mixed results as the veterans re-entered American society. Again, it is shameful to think that even those black men and women who fought in every war in this country, including the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, etc., and of course, the Vietnam Wars, black fighters has proven their patriotism time and time again. And unfortunately, some soldiers have come back to be lynched in uniform. What a shame. This is the ultimate sign of disrespect. But make absolutely no mistake about it. Black people have fought in every war as stated, and we are just as patriotic as anybody else. Unfortunately, that patriotism oftentimes is not reciprocal. We would like to point out that 97 years after the battle in France, President Obama awarded Johnson the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military award.
Thanks for watching.
Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, thou art rich.
And we are rich. This is HRap, built for this network, the End of the Bench podcast. This is the Black Power series, Build and Destroy. And this episode is the Ballet of the Bullet. Again, this is not the Malcolm X's Ballet of the Bullet. I'm not even going to pretend to be the orator that our great ancestor, Malik El-Haj, Malik Shabazz. I'm not going to pretend to be that. But what I am going to do is say, put a spin on it. If you don't want your children to feel bullets, maybe you need to go to the ballot and vote for people and hold their feet to the fire. Period. Remember earlier in the show, if you were here, I was talking about what we could do and what we had to do when we elect these public officials, right? Not a problem. We have to have an agenda. Thank you, Alfred. Good help, man. Good help, hard to find, man. But we have to have an agenda. The agenda for me, I have two things on my agenda. I need our brothers and sisters who go astray or people in the underserved communities, no matter what you look like. But see, I speak to my tribe. They speak to their tribe. And look, like everything else, like our sister Hannah Nicole Jones, we started that civil rights movement, everybody got their rights. Shout out to us. Shout out to our ancestors, which is us. You are everything that your grandparents and your parents and so forth and so on. Now, one of my crusades is this. If I break the law at age 18, if I break the law at age 20, if I break the law at age 25, I shouldn't be 45 years old paying for it. If I do my 2, 3, 5 years in the penitentiary and I get out and go get me a job and get me a trade, 10 years later, that felony shouldn't be hanging over my head, especially seeing how if you did it in the 80s when it has been documented that people like Oliver North were funding the Condonesian guerrillas with drug money from Los Angeles, California. Yeah. Him and George H.W. Bush, they were in on it. So if y'all in on the caper, how am I paying for it for the rest of my life? And Oliver North is $100 millionaire now. And now I got to walk around with this felony on my head into perpetuity. Look, if you get your life in order and you go down the right path, you should get that felony removed. It should be expunged or temporary or never come up unless you reviolate. That's just the way I see it. You can see it any way you want, but I see it that way. If I'm out, I need to be out. If I'm off parole, like this is a dude who does videos on Instagram. His name is Wallow. He does a show called $1 Million Worth of Game with his cousin, Gilly the King. Wallow has been out of the penitentiary for 10 years. He still got 10 years on parole. Why? This dude has taken himself from selling T-shirts on the corner to being, I think he might be a million. He might be worth $3 or $4 million. Why in the entire hell is he still reporting to a parole officer? And you clearly see he has turned himself around. Why? Why? Because that's slavery. That 14th Amendment said slavery is illegal. But once you say but, everything that you said before that is nothing. So the second mission is criminal justice reform. I ain't finna step out here and be like, defund the police, because most people, even the people on our team, don't understand that. Reallocate funds. Nope, not gonna say that either. Do what you want to do. But what we gonna do, please do this. What we're going to do is start calling our state reps, our state senators, our U.S. congressmen, and everybody who means something. And we're going to redo these acceptance situations. What do you mean by acceptance situations? How do you get into the military? A lot of people get into the military via nepotism. My uncle, my daddy, my daddy, my mama, my sister, they was all police, so I got in. Or the fastest way is to go to the military for 4 years, and then you got a pipeline to the police department. Why is that a problem, HRap? Because a lot of people come from racist homes. It's just what it is, man. You sit at people's dinner table, and you will hear some of the most offensive things you've ever heard in your life. And they don't even think it's offensive because it doesn't affect them. They called a judge in Louisiana, daughter, caught her calling black people roaches and put it on YouTube. Oh, they don't have no bearing on me or how I see black people. You call it those bugs, and probably the most despised bug in the world, and you don't think that has any bearing on your judgment or how you see a group of people. You are outside of your mother freaking mind. But that's another thing with voting. A lot of these judges are voted in, and we can vote their behinds out. But here's the thing. 1992, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, commonly known as the FBI, put out a report saying white nationalist groups, meaning skinheads, Ku Klux Klan, and what they call white supremacists. But how are you genetically recessive and superior? That's a whole nother conversation. Back to what I was talking about. Okay, whatever. Back to the point. If these white supremacist groups or white nationalist groups are infiltrating the military and they're infiltrating the police departments, that's why your children are getting shot. Because even when they shot the brother in Michigan in his head and Flint, the young brother from the Congo, initially, this is what they do. They release, and he was going for his taser. And we go, oh, well, legally, and we fall for it every time. Well, so a lot of us fall for it every time because, well, he shouldn't have done that. See, if Sandra Bland wouldn't have lit up that cigarette in her car, she wouldn't be dead. If George Floyd wouldn't have, that's the narrative, right? But then there was a person who was videoing it from the outside saying, he's not going for your taser. What are you talking about? So you shot him in the back of his head like a wild dog. The reason I bring up the military is this. We've seen movies, we've seen documentaries, we heard stories of people in foreign lands that are in the United States military mistreating brown people throughout the world. They mistreat people on the continent, on the great continent of Africa. They mistreating people in Asia. They mistreating brown people in Europe. And you saw how they mistreated our brothers and sisters. And what's the thing with the yellow flag? Everybody, this thing with Russia and the Ukraine now. You see how black people getting treated over there. See, we ain't really talking about that because Poland was like, come on over, white folk. Oh, not you, brown, not you, darky. No, not you. You know, back over there and fight the Russians. It's the truth. And look, I ain't mad at nobody. I'm just trying to save my folks. I ain't mad at y'all. I don't have anything bad to say about anybody. I got something good to say about being black. That's it. So, if now you got people over there in the military mistreating these people. You got them on the continent, Nigeria mistreating people. You got people in Chad mistreating people. Every time you turn around, they in South America mistreating us, and Central America mistreating us. They selling dope to send down there to fight off the Russians, and they mistreating us down there. Then they come, and then when you come home, you got away with it. And what's the outside of he's going for my gun? Stop resisting. What's the military thing? I was following orders. Salute to my homeboy, my main man. Janice husband. No, I'm just playing. Ready Kev. Salute to Ready Kev and Janice in the building. Much love. That's their go-to move. That's their tagline. I was following orders. DJ Purpalicious is also in the building. Good to see ya. I was following orders. But guess what? Those Nuremberg trials said that wasn't cool because they was following orders of Adolf Hitler. And look what happened. See, that following orders things doesn't work. The reason I'm bringing this up is those people shouldn't be allowed to be police officers. So since you're going to spend New York City, not the state, people, the city, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island, New York City spends $5 billion in police. This is what we're going to do for all these cities. Dallas, where we at, in Montgomery and all the towns in Alabama. This is where we at. Atlanta, Macon, Columbus. This is where we at. All throughout the state of Florida, South Carolina, wherever we at. And they spend a whole lot of money on the police. That's what we're going to do. It's cool. Spend that money. Because what y'all going to do, we're going to get our senators to put some psyche valves in there. And every 4 months, you can be on the street for 4 months, and then you have to sit at a desk and get a psychological evaluation because you know it's so stressful being a police officer. And I'm just trying to get home. But if you can't pass this psych evaluation, Teddy in the building, that's my big sister. She in the building, much love. If you can't pass this psych evaluation, you got to stay home, homeboy. You got to stay on in this office because we don't need you going out. The job is already hard, and we don't need you stressed out. And guess what? We need a more stringent. We need an FBI level mental, psychological evaluation to become a cop. Because then, if we have any this violence, you know, like it's one of my favorite Denzel Washington movies. What is it called? Deja Vu. Like one of my favorite movies. My black ass can't even remember the name. Deja Vu, they had the dude who blew up the boat. They wouldn't let him in the military because his mind wasn't right. So if you can't hire who you are to a psychological evaluation. You can't hire who you are to a psychological evaluation. So guess what? When you try to hire who you are to a psychological evaluation, guess what it is. I got my main man, my pastor, Reverend James Dodd III is in the building. Good to see you. But you can't hire who you are at a psychological evaluation. So when they can't pass the psychological evaluation, you can't be a cop. I don't want them to take none of the money away. Just allocate it in different sources and different forces, and then we will be safer. And then when the shootings go down, then we're gonna have them take some of that same money, because we psych evaluate. You don't need more cops. You don't need more cops. See that because cops don't stop crime, they don't prevent crime. Just like the death penalty does not stop crime and does not prevent crime, it does not deter crime. It just happens after crime happens. So now we got less cops shooting black folks. And then we got our senators and our state representatives that we're going to be calling and sweating like you would not believe once we get that done. And then they got money left over, that $5 billion. We got like $2 billion. You're going to put that in the after school programs, in the vocation programs, and in the education process. So we, as young people, our young people, your grandchildren, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, and your neighbors' children, they can be safer. Guys, how they going to be safer? You said there's going to be less police, and then the dangerous police is going to be in office. How's it going to be safer? You know how it's gonna be safer? Because they're gonna be at the after school program. They're gonna be like, if you're from the neighborhood that me and my man Cool Cat from and my sister's from, you go to Social Center, you go down to Reese Park or Fosco, go to Fosco, and then or you go to the Y or the joint on Taylor Street because they all funded now. Oh, damn, they got funding in the programs. Oh, damn, they got marching bands. Guess what? So when you get angry with somebody, you go blow your horn, you go beat your drums, you go write a, draw a picture or something or paint a picture, and woo! Check that out. Now we got less violence, we got less police violence, and we got a better Black community. So, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, haters, I know you're there, and bitter friends, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get this rectified. But you get to get your Black behind up and register to vote and take your Black behind to the election thing. Black people don't vote, though, HRap. Please explain to me this before I close out the show. If Black people don't vote, and Black people showed up in record numbers at the last election, but Black people don't vote, why is it that Donald J. Trump himself said, if I can get 18% of the Black vote, I can get reelected? 18% of something that don't happen? Because they know it's happening. But Black people don't vote, HRap. Well, if Black people don't vote, why did Joe Biden say if it wasn't for Black people, I wouldn't be in office? Because we ain't voting. If Black people don't vote, why are they creating laws so your Black behind can't vote? Because Black people do vote. Black women vote at the greatest number. So, bros, guess what? You like the nice ladies? Go on down there, get your vote on me. Like, girl, I'm doing my civic duty. You know what I'm saying? Got my phone number. She gonna like, boy, get your. But hey, that's the new club, the voting booth. I need y'all to do that, man. If you're tired of getting shot at, if you're tired of your children having nothing to do, if you're tired of, if you don't have the money to put your children in the after school program, there's a guy or a lady. If she's a senator, ain't no ladies. Black ladies. We ain't got no representatives there. But we got some people that are, again, that Democratic thing, that Republican thing, don't mean nothing. I see my man Big Illinois said something. He said, we also need to stand on the necks of them cats in D.C., bring some of the high tech companies to Lawndale, Inglewood, etc., and a lot of those vacant lots. Yeah, shout out to my man Big Illinois. Exactly. This is what I'm talking. Thank you, Big Illinois. I got my man D Great in the building. This is what I'm talking about. And if I'm using too much slang, STBY, sucks to be you. This is what I'm talking about. Big Illinois just presented the idea that we all can use. Look, man. Look, I got one more thing. Chicagoans or people, my home people, everywhere. I got people all over. I got my man D Great in LA. I got the Southern. They and I think they in Georgia. They in Georgia. Being he in Dallas. Justin Caraway, he's in Dallas. How about this, y'all? Look, watch this. I just had to move here because this neighborhood was just too bad. You do understand you're the light of that neighborhood. If you are good and the neighborhood is bad, Black people love Jesus. Let's go with that. Most of us love God. That means God put the light on you. If God put the light on you, you got responsibility. It's like, oh man, I don't go to church because there's too much negativity in church. Well, bring on some of your good people to church and get that negative energy out of there. Okay. I was talking to my pastor about this Sunday. My Chicagoans know what I'm talking about. Harvey looks like a wasteland. Harvey is a suburb of Chicago, south suburb. I don't go to that south side. That's west side people saying. My north side brother doing the same. I don't go to south side, man. West side. But we're not going to do that. But just imagine we move. I did the numbers, y'all. If 5,000 of us move to Harvey tomorrow, just magically, bam, move to Harvey and get us a crib in Harvey. And we only shopped at the grocery stores in Harvey. We only bought gas in Harvey. We didn't do nothing outside of the city. We got to sit down restaurants in Harvey. If it's Applebee's there, that's a Black on Applebee's. Okay, we going there. If we did that, do y'all understand? 5,000 people generate $50 million. Do you understand how $50 million out of Chicago would hurt Chicago? But then we could just be like, remember, y'all didn't like the N words. We out. We got to do that, man. See, I'm finna say something that's gonna ruffle some feathers. I'm not even gonna explain who I am. Nope. I was gonna make an excuse for what I'm saying. Segregation was working for us. And that's all I'm going to say. Segregation was working for us. You can have friends of any culture that you want, but segregation was working for us. That's why they burned us down. It is lakes in Georgia. It's lakes in Alabama, and it's lakes in Mississippi that are not lakes that God made. They are lakes that are man-made because black towns were burnt to the ground. Elaine Massacre. That's all I got to say about that. The Elaine Massacre will blow your mind. And if anybody don't like what I'm saying,
you better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you.
And that's just how I feel. And if you really don't like, if you got something, you want to stand up and say something,
Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down.
Pretty much. With that being said, man, thank you. Thank you. Guess what? Right now, BS3 Network, Queens 3 and King, my main man Doc and his sisters, my main man Ben is the chief. He the chief over there. Highways built in Miami. Yes, indeed. Liberty City used to be a thriving black. Shout out to Big Illinois. He killing the game tonight. Salute to my brother. Liberty City. Hey, Bronzeville was destroyed by the Dan Ryan Expressway. The 405 freeway, if you don't believe me, my man D. Great is in there now. The 405 freeway destroyed a thriving black community. We can get that back, y'all. Stop saying what you can't do. Understand where you come from and know what you can do. Salute to the people who I get inspiration from. That is the Ghetto Boys podcast. Tariq Nasheed, Nori, Talib Kweli, Ray Grady, Corey Holcomb, Zoe Williams, Craig Smith from Craig Facts, Al Sharpton, the great Reverend Al Sharpton. He's problematic to some of y'all, but guess what? Al Sharpton has done more than your black behind has. You can talk all you have. You talk what you want to do. Sister Heather B, nothing but positivity coming from Heather B. Much love to her. The brother Clay Kane out of Philadelphia is getting brothers who were wrongfully incarcerated out the penitentiary. We ain't going to get too many. We're going to work so we can keep our brothers and sisters out the joint. It's going to be crime everywhere, but we're going to keep as many of them as we can out of there. We got my personal favorite, the heir to the throne, Laree Daniel Favors, and her husband, Brian Favors. Boy, you listen to them, you ready to go start a business, man. Laree is the queen of the airways, the most informed man I've ever heard in my life, Dr. Greg Carr. This lady probably she say she sleep. I don't think Karen Hunter sleep. She got some type of batteries plugged into her. Every time I look up, Karen Hunter is doing something. Salute to Karen Hunter. Karen Hunter is inspiration to a lot of people in this nation, man. And the dean, the elder, Joe Madison. Joe Madison is the man. With that being said, y'all know I salute Reggie O'Shea, a.k.a. Combat Jack, every week by saying, rest in power and saying, dream those dreams and man up and woman up and live those dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor and surround sound. And I will be at 4104 West Roosevelt Road listening to Pastor Dodd Sunday. And the reason I told y'all that, because if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for ties, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brain. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him 2 to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth in the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang. Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. It's all a game.